Students of Liberty Common School are educated to pursue happiness. Now, the important phrase, the pursuit of happiness, is tragically misunderstood by millions of Americans who believe themselves to be dedicated to, in Patrick Henry's words, the holy cause of liberty. Yet here we are together, entering an historic 13-month lead-up to the 250th anniversary of the American Declaration of Independence. We revere the Declaration, especially at this school, as a remarkable document, a sublime requiem of freedom that characterizes not just the mind and intentions of Americans, but the highest aspirations of mankind, to be free and to enjoy authentic liberty. And we solemn Americans tend to commit some of these powerful words to memory. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new governments, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. So you see, most people have a fairly firm idea of what is meant by the right to life and the right to liberty. But when it comes to the right to happiness, do Americans understand this sacred right? Do young people generally? Well, that is a phrase relating directly to this night, to this ceremony, and to your diplomas, and to your maturing duties as prepared, powerful, actual citizens, American ones, and citizens of Italy and Spain, and anywhere else. Indeed, this 249-year-old document is not just a statement about Americans. It is a rather universal statement about human nature, the nature of humans anywhere on the planet, but more importantly, the nature of humans in the entire history of human civilization and for the entire future of the human race, because human nature is a natural constant. Now, the American founders posited we must agree on this philosophical truth if there is to be any meeting of the minds as to what is actually a right. And as Americans, we must commonly understand how it is true that rights, properly understood, come from God, not by man. And that human rights belong to the individual, not to groups, not to governments, nor even schools, not even our wonderful school. And this is the crux of our Declaration of Independence. Revolutionary in its day, maybe not now so much for us. But even in places where governments and institutions deny these rights, wise and courageous individuals eventually rise and assert them, even at the risk of their own lives. If anything else, our school's founders created Liberty Common School out of love for their children, as a place to educate them, to understand and be inclined toward wisdom, and to fortify maturing students with characters of courage. Wisdom and character. Now, recall that we began this particular 24-25 school year by installing in all of our campuses huge murals depicting the famous Tank Man. If you haven't seen them, grandparents or parents, they are copies, big 4-foot by 8-foot photographic images of a lone human standing between an advancing column of Chinese Red Army tanks and the public square full of Chinese students who were demonstrating at Beijing's Tiananmen Square in 1989. And recall your history with me. What was the essence of that conflict? The essence, the answer, the rights of the individual versus the interests of the communist collective. Now, Chinese students, mainly being the same human nature as you are, and all humans that ever were or ever will be, they're no different than you and me. They were asserting their God-given natural rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And this was regarded by the Chinese Communist government as some kind of threat to the state. And we know this because those students were expressing opposition to their government's corruption and the general restrictions of individual liberty. They were agitating for a little bit of democracy, and they were making their point by reading from our own American Declaration of Independence. Now, for expressing agreement with these self-evident truths and universal ideas, thousands of Chinese students lost their lives in a bloody massacre that the Chinese government wants us all to forget. But we shall not let that part of the story be forgotten here. Tank Man was never heard from again and is presumed to have been murdered by the Chinese government. That image that you've walked past every day, maybe glanced up at it occasionally, is a searing picture of courage. And it makes the pursuit of happiness in the intellectual sense intended by the authors of the American Declaration worth a few more minutes tonight. In this context, happiness is not a big, beautiful, cheerful smile on one's face, though that's what many have come to think. Happiness in a scholarly context, is not a statement of, look, I'm having fun, I'm feeling wonderful, and I'm emotionally happy. No, what Thomas Jefferson principally and many others who contributed to the final draft of the Declaration enshrined is an old intellectual statement about the pursuits of wisdom sufficient to know what is a right and to appreciate it. And that entails knowing where natural human rights come from. Our Declaration identifies the source of all rights, as coming from the Creator and the God of nature and nature's God. This frames the pursuit of happiness as an aspirational expression, a careful philosophical term of art handed down from the ancients. Pursuit, the word, connotates action, effort, human initiative. So pursuit of happiness entails motion, forward, upward, a renewing of one's mind through intellectual maturity such that one can understand even things that cannot be seen, like a right, like a creator, like the things that make humans unique, that makes us beings created in a sacred image, worthy of love, capable of sharing love, demanding justice for all, or preferring a society that reveres the rights of others as sacrosanct. We understand each natural right as being unalienable from the individual, and we must be willing to go to extreme lengths to defend this principle. You must be. You. And I ask you, seniors, to consider the moral distance covered during your short time here at Liberty Common School. In hindsight, maybe you can now see and appreciate how your instructors, there they all are over there and a few up here, have dedicated themselves in every subject matter discipline to educating you toward true intellectual happiness. The stories you were asked to read, the histories you were tasked to learn, the mathematical fact patterns and computational truths you have been taxed to memorize, the grammatical rules of languages expertly modeled for you, the wonders of the natural world, planetary and microscopic and subatomic, the artistic qualities that you've been taught to appreciate and to mimic. These are human consistencies organized around you that now form your nature, your character. This is a classical strategy orchestrated over 13 years intended to perfect your individual ability to understand and be inclined toward truth, beauty, goodness, and perfection, toward that immovable mover from whom our rights come, the Creator, as our Declaration calls it, or as asserted in the 5 ways proofs of Aquinas. This everyone understands to be God. Now, your quest for proper happiness cannot and does not somehow end with your graduation. Over the past 13 years, the school and your parents could only do so much. The pursuit of happiness is a journey of a well-lived lifetime. Pursuing happiness ought to drive us forward every day through good times and misery, but fair warning. Achieving full happiness demands avoiding distractions along the way. And I assure you, you will encounter all of the worst vices. temptations and distractions on college campuses. Most of you will join in just a few months. You know, just down the highway from here is a magnificent gas station called Buc-ee's. You know this place. Good. Because if you know Buc-ee's, you have some idea of the university most of you are going to attend. Buc-ee's is really a great metaphor for the modern university because just as hardly anyone goes to Buc-ee's for just the gasoline, one goes to the university these days for nearly everything but a proper education. Now, for proper credit, Americans were warned of this phenomenon by a scholar, Albert J. Nock, in a series of lectures delivered at the faculty at the University of Virginia way back in 1931. He called it drugstore education because back then drugstores were new, and although there was a pharmacy in every drugstore, few people went there for the pharmacy. And we don't have to go all the way back to 1931. 3 days ago in the Wall Street Journal, they published an essay by Vice President of Thomas Aquinas College, John Goyette, in which he wrote, AI has exposed a decline in higher education that has been underway for decades. Colleges increasingly focus on job training and credentials rather than intellectual growth for its own sake. Choose your own curricula, runaway grade inflation, and the popular notion of four-year party are symptoms of the same problem. Students have no qualms about cheating because as far as many of them can tell, college isn't about learning anyway. And just a few hours ago, I received an email from the president of a different college explaining what he realized as a professor of a good Christian college. Higher education has become more about selling an experience than preparing young adults to make a real impact in the world. He explained that he became tired of watching students leave unformed in wisdom, unsure of who they were or what they were made for. Oh my, is college really that bad? Yes, it is. But it doesn't have to be for you. And that's my message. I thank you for bearing with me this long. If you maintain fortitude in your pursuit for truth, which you are equipped to do, your moral compasses have been properly calibrated by your parents, by your churches and synagogues, by your friends, and your faculty here at Liberty. True north is no mystery to any of you. You merely must navigate your way by your intellect, your faith, your fierce defense of your God-given right to pursue happiness, real happiness, as God accorded to our declaration, according to our declaration, by which we are endowed. When July 4th, 2026 rolls around, the 250th anniversary of our declaration, it will be a glorious celebration of national heroism in honoring the natural, unalienable, God-given rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, in part because of the capable citizenship we're about to applaud in tonight's glorious celebration. So on behalf of the faculty and the administration and all the support staff, I want you to know that we have enjoyed working with you as your primary and secondary educators. You've been inspiring, loyal, beautiful, quite accomplished, worthy partners and friends in our mutual pursuit of happiness. And we love you. We really do. All of us do. You're ready to graduate well and with full confidence. So, all right, seniors, you about ready for that? Yeah. Let's get on with the official part of the commencement, the central purpose of this holy ritual, our final time together as instructors, administrators, headmaster, and students. Mr. President Albright and members of the Liberty Commons School Board of Directors, faculty, parents, grandparents, alumni, honored guests, and graduates. Liberty Common High School's 13th class of seniors has exceeded the high academic standards and expectations of the Liberty Common Board of Directors and the faculty. It has lived up to its class motto, Firmitas Facet Familiam. The character of each member has been well examined by the faculty and administration, and I warrant for you now that these candidates are indeed in firm possession of the school's foundation stones: responsibility, integrity, respect, perseverance, cooperation, self-control, and citizenship. As young scholars, Their character is defined by the school's capstone virtues of gratitude and patriotism and by the cardinal virtues of prudence, temperance, justice, and fortitude. Mr. President, these candidates fully understand and are inclined toward beauty, truth, goodness, and perfection. They carry with them, from Liberty, its keystone virtue of wisdom. They have paved the way of a young high school and branded it with the stamp of achievement like no other. They have set the school's annual composite SAT score at 1278, ranking first in the entire state of Colorado. That's out of 644 high school entities, by the way. This class has pulled down over $12 million in scholarship awards. That's another astonishing figure. Their accomplishments, based on multiple independent assessments, have propelled the class of 2025 to attain some of the highest academic achievement scores of all Colorado high schools in all of the state's history, and propelled the school into an elite tier among all American high school institutions. They also carry with them our profound admiration and our hearts. Character, virtue, leadership, and grace shown by the men and women of this particular class inspires awe in all of us. Their mark upon our school and our community, our state and our country and the world is absolutely beautiful. It's a sentiment I express on behalf of the entire faculty. So, Mr. President, as the proud headmaster of Liberty Common School, I represent to you and to the board of directors and to all present that these assembled candidates, through their hard work and demonstrated scholarship, have not only earned, but have added sterling credit to the Liberty Common High School diplomas, which they are about to receive. Their journey along a steep path through Liberty Common School, as prescribed by the Liberty Charter, its founding mission statement, and policies, is now complete. It is my honor and privilege, Mr. President, to formally endorse and commend the candidates for graduation and to have them now declared by name for presentation. So Principal Robert Robinson, please come to the lectern. Call the roll of the Liberty Common High School class of 2025 for presentation and graduation.